Okay. Good morning, everyone. I think we're ready to go. Mr. Clerk's got all the time limits, and I think my plan is, unless something happens, my plan is the state's going to go 1 hour and 15 minutes, and the defense then's going to go approximately, I hear you two are splitting it. That's fine. So after the first presentation of the defense attorney, I'm going to take a 10-minute break. Then the second presentation by the defense attorney, then they're finished. State will bring it home. They're deliberating. That's my plan right now. It's always subject. Somebody over here points at me and says, they got the hand signals down already. I don't know if you all saw that, but she must have picked it up from Deputy Dunkley. So if I see this, that means they want a break. Okay. So I think, yes, ma'am.
The other thing I would say is there might be a need for a couple minutes break, and we got to clear out what the state has out.
Okay. I'm open to that. I suspect a lot of that they use, you'll use as well, but just let me know, all right? But the smoother and shorter transition, the better for me, because of the not eating. I don't know if anybody's diabetic or whatever, so I'm really sensitive to that. Okay, let's do it.
Someone's relaxed.
They've become friends. All right, everybody have a seat. And jurors, as long as you say everybody's ready to go, no issues, let's get to work. State goes first. Ms. Richstone?
On a night when most of America was watching football or enjoying with friends and family, two men, possibly three men, decided to embark on a mission of evil. As people were tucked away in their homes in the sleepy town of Jupiter, as Charlie Orpagel, Sean Henry, Brandy Alsalvi, and Kelly Doherty, all in their 20s, were sitting around a fire pit laughing, when Chris Vasata, Marcus Stewart, crept through the back alleys in the darkness, clothed in dark clothes, black t-shirts, black hoodies, armed to the teeth with an assault rifle, a Glock, extra magazines, extra ammo, and something wicked this way came. And they ambushed 4 helpless sitting ducks sitting out in their backyard. Kelly Doherty was 20 years old. Kelly Doherty wasn't armed that night. Kelly Doherty wasn't a drug dealer. Brandy Alsalvi, University of Florida, 24 years old. She wasn't armed. She wasn't a drug dealer. Those 2 girls had nothing to do with that underbelly dark drug trade in Jupiter, Florida, that Vasata, Luke Kasukos, Orpagel, and Sean Henry were involved in. Those 2 girls were with us a long time. Charlie Orpagel was not on that night. Sean Henry had a gun tucked in his waistband that remained tucked in his waistband after he was shot 17 times. I'm going to go through the timeline for you. But make no mistake about this. This was a cold, calculated, premeditated murder execution plot that Chris Vasata, Marcus Stewart, and most likely Luke Kasukos concocted to get Charlie Borpegel and Sean Henry off guard when they were outside of the home. Charlie Borpegel had a lot of guns now. He knew that. Vasata knew that. So I came over and I thought, hey, you got 2 assault rifles you can sell me, Charlie, Chris says. As he looks around and takes stock of all the firearms in Borpegel's home. Vasata, Stewart, they knew. You can't get Charlie in his house because he's got a gun within reach. Charlie Borpegel, the kid who grew up with guns his whole life, he knows how to shoot. They knew they needed to ambush Charlie Borpegel and Sean Henry. And when they had their opportunity, and remember, Charlie Borpegel told you that that fire pit was running Saturday night. Vasata knew, right before the homicide. Vasata knew that Charlie routinely hung out back there with his friends. What better way to murder 2 people than to get them when they're unaware and unarmed? And guess what? The fact that Kelly Doherty and Brady L. Salke were back there, he did not care. Vasata didn't care. Marcus Stewart didn't care. And if there was a 3rd guy back there, and if it was Luke Kasukos, he didn't care. They knew there were extra people there. How did they know? Because there was a strange car in the driveway. Vasata knew those cars. He knew what Sean drove, and he knew that truck was always in Charlie's driveway. He knew Charlie Borpegel didn't have a car.
Objection, that's not in evidence.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is closing argument. It's what the attorneys say is not evidence, and additionally, you're to rely on your recollection of the evidence.
So when they went back there, in that backyard, with the assault rifle ready to go, the Glock 40 ready to go with extra ammo, they unleashed on anyone back there with no care for human life. None. They can't get more premeditated than that, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk now about the timeline. Just to address where people lived, here's Mohawk Street in Jupiter. Here is that dark footpath that nobody's on there at night. What a perfect way to creep into that neighborhood. Here's down here where Chris Vasata parked that BMW in Paseos. Why would Chris Vasata park his car almost a mile away from Charlie Borpegel's home? There's no other answer, no other logical answer other than he was ambushing Charlie Borpegel. Chris Vasata never parked. Who parks a mile away when you're going to visit someone and talk about a peace treaty? Police. So Vasata parks there. And you may ask to see other items. You can ask to see this video again. But let's first talk about what was going on in the days and the month before this homicide. Was there talk between Charlie Borpegel and Sean Henry of hurting or killing Luke Kasukos? Yes. Stupidly, they were calling all over Jupiter asking people, hey, you know where Luke lives? Of course Luke's going to find out. But guess what? They never took any action on it. You know, we're not asking you to like Charlie Borpegel. We're not asking you to condone Sean Henry's intentions. We're not asking you that. We do not live in a society of wild, wild west. The fact that they were talking about doing harm does not justify their execution-style murder, and it certainly doesn't justify the murder of Kelly Doherty and Brady Salke. What could they have done? What should they have done? If they had heard threats, Vasata and Katsuko should have called the police and said, hey, I know a guy who's got guns in his house and drugs in his house. It would have been that easy to get rid of Charlie Bordenhaver. But they chose not to do that. They chose to murder. They chose to act as if they were the judges and the executioners. So just the phone records are in evidence. This is a refresher. Chris Vasata, Marcus Stewart, Luke Kasukos. What's in that BMW that we know Vasata was in? In the driver's side door, Vasata's driver's license, claim information, Vasata's credit card, right where you would drive. His phone, Vasata's phone. Marcus Stewart had 2 phones in there. So we know those guys are together. There's business cards of Luke Kasukos. Does that mean he was in the car or not? I don't know, maybe. Who's on trial today, though? Vasata. Stewart's judgment day will come later. And hopefully, one day, the third person, if there was a third person involved, their judgment day will come. But today, in your decision, it's Chris Vasata. So how do we know Chris Vasata was deep into this threat against Luke Kasukos? Well, Luke and Vasata, in a 4 or 5 day period, there were 31 calls between the 2 of them. That's in the records. So Vasata's pretending to be friends with Warpagel and Henry. They're telling him, hey, we want to hurt Luke. Where's Luke live? Vasata's picking up the phone, calling Luke and telling him, hey, these guys want to kill you. You got to do something about it. 31 times. How do we know that Stewart and Vasata know each other? Well, for one, on February 3rd, we got Marcus Stewart calling Vasata twice. And then on February 4th, the night before the homicide, day before the homicide, Stewart's calling Vasata again. Missed call, missed call. And the day of the homicides, 1:20, Stewart Marcus calls Vasata, missed call. 7:38 p.m., Vasata calls Stewart. 7:39 p.m., Stewart calls him right back. 7:58, Vasata calls Stewart. 8:06, Stewart calls Vasata. They had something on their mind. 8 p.m., Stewart texts Vasata, on my way now. Vasata texts Stewart, how long you think? 8 p.m., the night of the homicides. And so it begins. 9:39 p.m. These are stills from the video. 9:39 p.m., a dark-colored car is seen turning on Via Zamora and Paseos Way. The car pulls and parks on the side of the road, where there's on side of the road parking, in a proper parking spot, in Paseos, at 9:39. It pulls in and sits there for 5 minutes. That dark-colored car is the BMW that Luke Kasukos rented from Kipper, who then Luke Kasukos subleased to Vasata. 5 minutes they sit there. At 9:44, that dark-colored BMW car pulls out of this lot, pulls out of that parking spot. And it circles the block once. Now remember, the FP&L access road is over here to the left. It was suggested in cross-examination, well, maybe they dropped someone off over there. Because eventually we see 2 figures leaving that car. Maybe they did. Maybe they did. We don't know that. It doesn't matter if there were 2 or 3 gunmen. We know there were 2. And we know we have 2 different types of ammunition in that backyard. Doesn't matter if there was a third. Why doesn't it matter? Because Vasata was there. And he was one of the murderers. So this car circles the block and it parks right back in the same spot it was parked in. It parks at 9:45 p.m. Just circles once and parks. And then what do you see? About a minute or so later, on the video, you see 2 people. 1, 2, get out of that dark colored car and start running towards that FPL access road. You can't tell whose face it is. You can't tell if they're carrying an assault rifle or a Glock. You can't tell, you can't see it. You can see 2 figures. And so they creep through the abandoned FPL access road and they creep into that neighborhood. While people are inside, distracted, watching football, it's pitch dark out. And they hit. Now remember the time. 9:45 p.m. They sat there for 1-2 minutes at the most and got out of the car. It's less than a mile away. You've got guys that are physically fit. Even on a slow walking day, they're getting there within a half hour. At the most. So what was Vasata and Stewart and possibly the third guy doing for that extra 15 minutes or so? Because at 9:45 they're leaving, 9:47. Giving them the benefit of the doubt, let's say they got there at 10:15. Guess who wasn't there yet? Charlie Borpigel wasn't there yet. He was pulling in, or he was just pulling in at the same time the girls were. So Vasata and Stewart were most likely checking it out. Maybe hiding in the yard waiting. Maybe watching from bushes somewhere. Waiting. Charlie Borpigel to do what he always does. Take his friends out there and sit around the fire. So Charlie Borpigel told you he pulled up. Brandy and Kelly pulled up. Sean was already there. They went inside. Now remember, Charlie was driving Sean's car when he pulled up. So when Vasata and Stewart did there, they got there before Charlie pulled up, which most likely they did. They get there, they don't see Sean's car. Well, they need to get Sean. Sean and Charlie are the targets here, clearly. They wait. And then they wait. The 4 of them, victims, stay inside for, he said, literally 5 minutes. So they did drugs. The penalty for doing drugs is not execution, by the way. It's kids in their 20s. That has nothing to do with anything. And then Charlie said they immediately went out into the fire pit. And they weren't there for more than a minute or 2. Charlie Borpigel said he hadn't even finished a cigarette. They're all smoking cigarettes. And the evil descended upon them. That's when they came. Do you remember when the first responders came? They said, Kelly, Dorothy, cigarettes. That's how fast Vasata and Stewart, possibly the third person, executed their plan. No mercy. One sentence they said, Charlie Borpigel remembers, give us what you owe us, whatever that was. And think about, first of all, it was dark out there. But how do we know that those gunmen knew there were 2 extra girls back there? First of all, it doesn't matter if they knew they were back there or not. because you're gonna get an instruction about 20/10. If you're trying to kill John Henry and you miss and you accidentally kill an innocent bystander, you're still guilty of murder of that innocent bystander. But you know what? We know that they knew there were extra people back there. They were watching. And we know that they knew there were extra people back there. Why? Because Sean Henry, their intended target, was shot 17 times. Kelly was shot 4. Brady was shot 5. Sean Henry had close range, 2 bullet heads to his head. Close range. And there was a 40 caliber bullet underneath his head. There were 40 caliber jackets found in his body, and guess who was found with a 40 caliber magazine in his pocket later? Was Vasata. But I digress, we'll get there. So, they come. Unfortunately for them, but fortunately for us, the plan didn't go perfectly. Because during the frenzy of assault rifle fire, Vasata got caught in the crossfire. Now, you may be asking yourselves, but I don't know, number one, what firearm killed what victim? Because the medical examiners told you. It's not medically possible for us to tell you for sure if this victim died from assault rifle wounds or died from a 40 wound or a handgun caliber wound. But there are certain things they can look at. Dr. Joost told you that she would have expected to see much more severe damage in Sean Henry's brain had the headshots been from an assault rifle. And she didn't see the damage that she would have expected in his brain, which leads to the conclusion it was a 40 caliber handgun. A lot. Further supported by the fact there was a 40 caliber unfired cartridge found right underneath near Sean's head. Kelly was killed. We have one definitive thing, the scapula. We don't know if it's what killed her, but there was an assault rifle. There was assault rifle ammunition that was identified, that was found in Kelly's scapula. Brandy had no identifiable projectiles or anything we could identify from. But it doesn't matter what they died from, which firearm killed them, and who actually pulled the trigger for each victim. Because there was an enormous amount of assault rifle cartridges, and there was at least 5 40 caliber cartridges spent out in that backyard. And under the principal theory, so let me back up. So we know that at least 2 firearms were fired at these victims. And under the principal theory, assuming Marcus Stewart fired one, Vasata is responsible for what Marcus Stewart did, and vice versa, because they helped and they assisted each other under the principal theory. But the state submits to you, they're both the gunmen. They both had firearms then. They were both firing, and those bullets killed people. You might think to yourself, but I think the third person was there, because Charlie did describe somebody. In the midst of that terror, he thought he saw someone with gold teeth and dreads. It's dark out there. He's being fired at. He's running. He can't identify a face. No one can identify faces. But you know what? It doesn't matter if there was a third person back there, because they're all 3 responsible. And they're all 3 principals to each other. They're all 3 then guilty of first-degree murder for all of the victims. That's the way the law is, and it makes sense. So, how did Vasata get shot, you might
Your Honor, I'm
think?
going to object to the usage of names that we addressed previously.
Overruled.
How did Vasata get shot? Could have happened a few ways. Vasata could have had that assault rifle first. And you know what? Vasata's DNA on that assault rifle. Talk about that in a bit. Vasata could have started the spraying, handed it over to Marcus or possibly the third person, walked up, took his 40 out, because we know somebody bent down and plugged 2 rounds into Sean Henry's head. And as in the frenzy, as the other person now is spraying the assault rifle, Vasata gets hit. And the Glock drops. That Glock pistol was identified as being the Glock responsible for leaving the casings, the Glock casings, I think 5 of them, in the yard. The Glock 40 jackets, projectiles that were found in Sean, can't be definitively linked to that gun. Remember, Omar Felix said, there's not enough identifiers for me to make a determination that it definitely is, but it's consistent with it and it's definitely the same ammunition. So if Vasata gets accidentally shot, which is what happened, he drops that Glock. Or perhaps Marcus Stewart was handed the assault rifle, or third person, they're spraying and the same thing happens. Vasata goes up to kill Sean Henry. Because the evidence pretty much tells you that Vasata had that 40. It's dropped at the scene. Maybe he got shot. Dropped it. We know he got shot. It a pretty serious wound. And Vasata has that 40 magazine in his pocket when he's found on Passaic Road. So the crime scene photos. Brandy Al-Salhi, 24 years old, sitting in a chair, shot in the back, 4 times, in the back. Kelly Doherty, sitting in a chair, 20 years old, boom, shot right in the face, shot other places with an assault rifle. Sean Henry, shot 17 times. If that is not premeditation, what is? And Charlie Borpagel, the luckiest person in the world, really, fortunately for us, and unfortunately for them, he got away. Because without Charlie getting away, Borpagel getting away, and without Vasata getting shot, if Borpagel was killed, Vasata didn't get shot, we'd be in some serious trouble here. But those 2 things happened. And just like Hansel and Gretel, leaving little breadcrumbs through the forest, Chris Vasata left us his blood. Drip, drip, drip out that house. Led us right back to where he was. The autopsy, Kelly Doherty 4 times, Brandy Al-Salhi 5 times, Sean Henry 17 times. They recovered projectiles and casings at the scene. Numerous, countless, and guess what? Both of those firearms jammed. They weren't finished. Vasata wasn't finished. Stewart wasn't finished. That assault rifle was jammed. Remember when Agent Rhodes came in and told you when he found it in the culvert, had this weird jam in there that you've got to be pretty experienced with firearms to know how to clear it quickly. That Glock was stovepiped, meaning there was a jam in the Glock too. That's what happens when you're on a murderous frenzy. You're firing so fast, you're jamming your own guns. But you know what? They didn't need any more rounds. Those people were dead immediately. The shots followed Charlie Borpagel. There's shots all through the fence. We saw where he ran out of his shoes. And then there were casings found in the backyard, numerous. From the assault rifle, from the Glock. No question as to what firearms were used in this case. So the last time we left those 2 or 3 individuals, it was last time approximately 10:15, right? That they would get to the house, they wait, they start shooting, because at 10:34 the 911 calls start coming in. So maybe shooting begins at 10:32, something like that. 911 calls start pouring in. Charlie ran next door. The guy pushes him out of the house and calls 911, the next door neighbor. Other people are calling 911. Cops respond very quickly, 10:35 to 10:40. The first officers respond. Now remember, Jupiter PD and PBSO are on different radio dispatches. So Householder and Sanders for PBSO are unaware that this is happening. They're just patrolling on the outskirts of the jurisdictional line. So they're not the DUI people. Unaware that a mass murder just happened. Back to the scene though. Charlie's running, hiding. Charlie sees something. Well, first off, Charlie runs in the house of his neighbor. His neighbor, what happened, pushes him out, calls 911. Charlie says he then goes and hides behind his neighbor's truck, and he's looking, and he sees the gun coming out. And he sees at least 2 people, and he sees one of them holding up the other guy. Who's that? That's Vasata, because Vasata got his hip blown out. And they need help taking him down the driveway. And that blood stain number 3, they didn't test all the blood. There's no need to test all the blood. We have Vasata's blood in that driveway of 1105 Mohawk. His blood trail starts. His DNA, he's the source of that. Profile is rarer than 1, and we'll go through the DNA stats in a bit. It's his DNA. One of the neighbors hears them say, the cops are coming, we gotta get out of here, something like that. There was one video we didn't publish yet from Mr. Brooker. It just shows Charlie running from the house. Remember the guy who said he was drunk and watching Super Bowl at his house? But his video was on, his surveillance camera just picks up Charlie running. The first police officer on the scene, Marinucci, says a kid was out of his mind, he was freaking out, he was in shock. And again, nobody likes what Charlie Warpagel was doing for a living, pushing drugs. But Charlie Warpagel made that decision that night. I know in his mind, he's thinking, I know I'm going down. I know I'm going to prison for what's in my house. But I'm going to tell what happened because those were my friends. He could have kept his mouth shut. He could have said, I want an attorney. I don't want to talk to you anymore. And denied and fought his federal charges. But he didn't. The evidence is quite clear. The state that Charlie Warpagel was in was quite clear. He told you everything that he knew as best as he could recollect it. So police began to come to the scene at 10:35, 10:40 to Mohawk. At that point now, Vasata's shot. He can't run. So him and Stewart, and if there's a third person, they can't go back through that FP&L access road. Vasata can't walk because his co-defendant shot him accidentally in the frenzy. So they have to steal Sean Henry's car. They need a car to get out of there. Let's go back to Paseos. Same intersection we showed you before the homicide, when they parked that BMW that Vasata was driving, when Vasata and Stewart, or Vasata and a second person got out and met the third person at the FP&L access, or when Vasata and Stewart just got out and went through the FP&L access. They come right back. Now they're in Sean Henry's car. And whoever's driving is a lousy driver. Panicking, most likely. They got Vasata in the back seat, bleeding out. They have real serious injury. They're freaking out, probably realizing they dropped the Glock over there. The plan has gone to hell at this point. And they don't know if they got Ortega or not. But they got to get out of there. So they steal Sean Henry's car, driving recklessly, picks up the attention of the two PDSO deputies. And they begin to follow them. Householder and Sanders begin to follow that Honda, the stolen car. They don't know it's stolen. They don't know there's been a mass murder. They think they're following a drunk driver. So on that same surveillance tape, at 10:45, we see a dark-colored car turning onto Paseos Way. Sean Henry's car. And guess who comes right behind him? Well, first of all, though, this dark car turns at 10:45 p.m., and coincidentally, it slides right into that same spot right near that where that BMW is still parked. Because remember, Vasata parked that BMW in Paseos to sneak into the neighborhood of Mohawk, the Mohawk neighborhood. That's the getaway car. They left it there. They were going to sneak back out, jump in it. Mission done. Mission completed. Murder done. Murder's done. But now Vasata can't walk. So they got Sean's car now, Sean Henry's car. So they go back to the BMW. Why? I don't know. Maybe Vasata says, you know what, I can do it, I can walk, just get me back to the car, we'll take off from that car. They try to lose those deputy sheriffs. And they do, they lose them for a little bit. And so Sean Henry's car, you see on the video, slides into that spot right behind, or right in front of the BMW. But they leave the brake lights on. And as Householder and Sanders come around the corner, they're going straight. They see the brake lights right here. They see the brake lights of the Honda. It draws their attention, and they turn down. They turn down. Now you got two police cars coming. The people in the Honda see it. Whether that was Vasata just coincidentally trying to get out of the back seat to walk and realizing he can't and he falls down, or, I don't know, maybe his co-defendants at that point said, see ya, you're on your own, we're getting out of here, and pushed him out. We don't know that. But what we do know is that those people in the Honda knew the cops were right behind them. They don't know that PDSO is not on the same frequency. They probably think those are the cops coming to get us for the mass murder. Doesn't matter, because guess what? Regardless, they have an assault rifle. They have an assault rifle in there. They've got hoodies, T-shirts, everything. All their tools of murder are in that Honda. That Honda's got to get out of there. So whoever's driving it said, I'm out of here. And the Honda takes off. Sanders can't catch it. Householder stays. She doesn't know anything about the murder. Walks up to the guy. Well, what happened to you? He says, oh, I was at my friend's house and I got shot. Well, the ambulance comes, and before the ambulance comes, you're going to be searched and your clothes are going to be taken, and that's the way it goes. What is in Vasata's pocket? A magazine that clips into that 40 block magazine. They were so ready for murder that night. What else is there? Oops, black glove. Forgot about that. Hoodies, black t-shirts, black hoodies, black gloves, assault rifle, Glock, extra ammunition. So as Chris Vasata lays bleeding down, they're unable to get up. You find the magazine in his pocket and a glove out by the road by him. So he gets taken to a hospital. Detective Hirsch. You know, you have to think, Jupiter is kind of a small town. They got the whole police force out there. They don't know what happened. It just happened. So they say, Hirsch, you go to that injured guy and see if he's related to this at all. For all they know, he's a victim. Detective Sanders, the other Sanders from Jupiter, you go to where Vorpagel is. They're hitting the scene. They're getting crime scene there. So Detective Hirsch walks into the hospital but to see Vasata, to find out, who are you? What happened? We heard that you said you were at a party and you got shot, or you were at a friend's house and got shot. So he's getting prepped for surgery. He's getting ready to go into surgery. And she asked him, what happened? I was at my friend Charlie's house around the fire pit, and these guys came in and started shooting. Okay, well, that's not true. Vasata was not sitting around the fire pit. He wasn't there. It was the four of them. There's 4 chairs. It was the 4 of them. She says, well, then what happened? After I got shot, he says, these guys, I felt myself being dragged away from the crime scene. That makes 0 sense, that someone's going to come in and murder these people and find one survivor and take him away from the scene. Why? He's not a victim. She then says, well, how'd you get on Paseos? They dragged me out and put me in a car. Detective Hirsch says, well, who are these people? And Chris Vasata says, I don't know. And she says, well, then what happened? He said, they just drove on Paseos and I fell out of the car, or they pushed me out. At that point, they don't know that BMW is Vasata's car. Gee, what a coincidence. You're a victim, you get shot, but the gunmen want to help you, so they take you away from the scene, they put you in a car, you can't figure out who they are, they don't say anything to you, and then they drop you back off a mile away. Out of every road in America, they end up on Paseos where your getaway car is. Yeah, I don't think so. That was Vasata's story, trying to get himself away from being looked at as a suspect. But you have to remember, they don't know if Vorpagel had been hit. They don't know if Vorpagel's alive. So those statements from Chris Vasata clearly tell you his guilt in this. Clearly. Because we know he knows Marcus Stewart. We know Marcus Stewart's phone is in that BMW, 2 of them, with Chris Vasata's phone and driver's license. We have Chris Vasata and Marcus Stewart's DNA commingled on so many items. We know Vasata was in the back of that Honda. What else was in that Honda? Well, actually, let me stay with the BMW. In that BMW, guess what else was in there? Surprise, surprise. The same assault rifle rounds that were used to murder these 3 people. It's the same brand of ammunition that fits into that assault rifle. I want to talk to you about that assault rifle. You know, the court stated that the guns wouldn't be brought into the back with you all. You have to feel this gun. It's heavy. Regardless of where you fall or where people fall on the gun issue in America, let me tell you something. There's one purpose for an assault rifle, and that is to kill. To kill quickly and definitively. When that ammunition from the assault rifle hits your body, you know what happens? And guess what ammunition they had? Not only did Vasata and his co-murderers bring an assault rifle to the scene, they brought hollow point bullets to the scene. And remember, you heard from Omar Felix. When that ammo hits your body, hollow point bullets are designed for maximum destruction. It hits your body and explodes inside of it. This has one purpose and one purpose only: to kill brutally. And guess whose DNA is on it? Remember, she said she swabbed here and here, where you're going to hold it. Chris Vasata. What are you doing with an assault rifle? I'll tell you what he's not doing with the assault rifle. Negotiating a peace treaty with gloves and black hoodies and an assault rifle and a .40 Glock. So those are found in the BMW that Vasata's in with Marcus Stewart. What happens to the Honda? Well, kind of another lucky coincidence. Sean Henry didn't have much gas. The next day, what's found? That Honda. The Honda's found on I-95. Run out of gas. But guess what? They got a problem, because there's a lot of incriminating evidence in that Honda, in Sean's Honda. We've got a pillow back there that shows you where Vasata laid down. His blood definitively all over this pillow, all in the back seat. His DNA. What else do we know is in that Honda, and how do we know what was in that Honda? Because it ran out of gas on I-95, and whoever was driving it, most likely Marcus Stewart, they still had the assault rifle in there. And another handgun. And a hoodie. And 2 gloves. You can't walk down I-95 with an assault rifle. So they had to hide it. So they hid it right down near where the car was found, in a culvert on I-95. When the dogs came, this canine dog came and found it. So we have in that culvert, we've got the assault rifle that has Chris Vasata's DNA on it. We found 2 gloves. One has Vasata, I'll go through the DNA in a moment, but Vasata's all over one of those gloves. Marcus Stewart's on the other. Hoodies, a hoodie. And what's in the hoodie? The BMW key fob that fits the BMW in Paseos. They're all linked. Vasata is all over this case, circumstantially and directly and through his own words. No getting out of it for him. There's the BMW, there's the hoodie, here's the gloves, all tucked away in that culvert. They're tools of murder. In that BMW, we also found a rifle bag that fits that AK, that assault rifle. Fits right in there. Right here. Matches the shell casings found at the scene. Omar Felix told you. This AK-47 assault rifle is the one, remember we found a projectile in Kelly's scapula. It's definitively fired from that. We found numerous fired shell casings from that assault rifle that definitively matched that assault rifle in the backyard. The shell casings match that. That ammunition found in the BMW that Chris Vasata was driving in the front right seat pocket. That's the ammunition that fits that assault rifle. pistol fired 5 Perfecta, that's the brand name. The Glock pistol. Remember the Glock that Vasata dropped at the scene when he got shot? The Glock that he had the magazine that matches that Glock that was in his pocket on Paseos when he was found. That Glock pistol found at the scene fired 5 of the Perfecta 40 caliber cartridge casings that were found at the homicide scene. That Glock pistol magazine that Chris Vasata had in his pocket had 11 Perfecta 40 caliber cartridges. Same brand. There was a Perfecta 40 caliber unfired cartridge casing found next to Sean Henry's head. There were 2 40 caliber jacketed bullet projectiles from Sean's left arm and left psoas muscle, however you say it, PSOAS. It was too damaged to make a definitive match, but Omar Felix told you they're 40 caliber jackets, consistent with all of the 40 caliber ammo that we've already talked about. The assault rifle fired the 7.62 hollow point bullet projectile or bullet found in Kelly Doherty's scapula. Kelly Doherty just sitting there. Assault rifle fired was matched to numerous rounds, over 10 rounds that were found in that backyard, definitively matched to that firearm, that assault rifle. The DNA. DNA is boring, we know that. But it's rock solid science. And there's no getting around the DNA in this case. The first round of testing that the DNA analysts did. When we say defendant Vasata is the source of the DNA, that means his DNA profile is more rare than 1 in 300 billion people. Let's multiply the Earth's population several times. It's his DNA. Definitively, his DNA found in the blood in the Mohawk driveway, BLS number 3. His blood in the backseat of the Honda. The Glock pistol magazine found in his pants, touch DNA, was his. The black glove, one of the gloves in the culvert. Who comes to a negotiation with this? The black hoodie in the culvert has some blood on it, Chris Vasata. The black t-shirt in the Honda. The black glove in the Honda. We then had the ability, instead of sending it off to another lab, Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office came online with a computer program. Computers are smarter than humans at sometimes. They're quicker and they're faster, certainly when it comes to mathematics. And scientifically accepted in the world, this new computer genotyping, star mix. DNA results on defendants Vasata and Stewart. Now we can take those mixtures. Remember those mixtures? We can pull them apart now and really look at them and find out who's on there. It's so specific. The assault rifle frame and receiver. 3 contributors. Vasata, 69% of that DNA found on that assault rifle was Chris Vasata, the defendant in this case. There was no blood on those swabs. This isn't Chris Vasata bleeding on this. This is Chris Vasata handling an assault rifle. Why? Because he's a murderer, that's why. Marcus Stewart, 25%, unknown 6%. And the stats are astronomical. The validity, those statistics we heard give the likelihood that this is correct. In the trade decillions, that's 42 zeros after something. Who even knows those words? It's astronomical. The black hoodie in the culvert, the sleeves in the outer hood. 3 contributors, Stewart, Vasata, someone unknown. Black hoodie in the Honda, Vasata's the main contributor. He's everywhere. Guess who's not everywhere? Lucasukos, unfortunately. There were some stats, as you will always get, where the DNA analyst says, you know what, there's too much allele dropout. I can't match this against anybody. It's not scientifically reliable for me to even try. I know the defense asked on cross, well, you didn't try to match Luke to those. She didn't try to match anyone to those. She can't do it. The Glock. Found the casings. We found the Glock. We found the casings near Sean. We found a live round near Sean Henry. We found the Glock magazine next to Vasata in his pocket. Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to be read the law. You read it yesterday. The law allows for you to consider what we call lesser included offenses, all right? This defendant is charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder. Within that count of first-degree murder are lesser included offenses. Second-degree murder, manslaughter. Second-degree murder applies when, hypothetically, you have 2 guys in a bar fight. They didn't come there to kill anyone. They get in a bar fight, things get out of hand, somebody gets killed.
Objection.
Overruled.
That's not this situation. We have premeditation in this situation. Second-degree murder doesn't encompass premeditation. Manslaughter, what's that for? Hypothetically, the factory owner who knows he's got faulty wires that can cause a fire, he doesn't care. He wants to make money, so he doesn't fix it, and his workers die in the fire. Manslaughter. That's not this case. There's a very important instruction that sometimes gets lost in all of the law that says when you go back to deliberate, you are to find the defendant guilty for the highest offense for which the state has proven. Meaning, you start at first-degree murder. Is the victim dead? Yes. Was the defendant the person that killed the victim? Yes. Was this premeditated? Yes. If you find yes, guilty, you stop. You don't go, well, now let's talk and see if he's also guilty of second-degree murder. No. You find the defendant guilty for the highest offense of which he is charged. 3 counts of first-degree murder and the grand theft auto. He knew he didn't belong in Sean Henry's car. They stole it. There's interrogatories after that. After is he guilty of first-degree murder? Then you have to decide, was Chris Vasata the person that actually himself pulled the trigger? Well, we know he did. He either pulled the trigger of the Glock, or he pulled the trigger of the assault rifle, or he pulled the trigger of both. He pulled those triggers. So in those interrogatories, the answer is yes. He pulled the trigger, which killed Sean Henry. He pulled the trigger, which killed Kelly Doherty. He pulled the trigger, which killed Brady El-Salti. It gets a little confusing because there's a principal instruction, okay? So even if you believe, let's just say you think, you know what, for whatever reason, I think Marcus Stewart is the one that pulled the trigger that killed Brady El-Salti. Well, you still find Marcus Stewart guilty of the murder because he's a principal to it. Because without his assistance, Marcus Stewart couldn't have done it, and vice versa. They worked together in concert. But if you don't find that Vasata pulled that trigger, that's okay. That's the interrogatory underneath it. So you can say, yes, guilty of first-degree murder, but no, I don't think he pulled the trigger. That's fine. But the state submits to you. The answer is guilty on everything and yes on everything. But you sat here for, some of you, almost 3 weeks, 2 weeks. Ms. Nixon and I represent the state of Florida, and on behalf of the state of Florida, we thank you for your service and your agreement to hear this case. As you've heard over and over again, there's nothing more serious than this. There are 3 lives gone. They're dead, murdered, ambushed, executed. What does justice mean? What does justice demand? Justice in this case means that Chris Vasata must be found guilty of first-degree murder as charged.
Objection, improper argument in this statement.
Overruled.
Because he went there that night with a premeditated plan, with evil intent in his mind, armed to the teeth, to kill Sean Henry, to try to kill Charlie Vorpagel, the attempted murder, and those two girls, they knew they were back there. They could see back there. We know they could see back there. They shot their intended target 17 times. They knew exactly what they were doing. Justice means guilty on all counts. And we ask that you deliver justice today. Thank you.
Defense, your turn.